My name is Peter Hoyt. I'm a retired educator, having retired in 2009 from the Charles C. Cashman Elementary School in Amesbury as its principal. I spent about 35 years in the field of education, 17 of them in the classroom teaching, and 18 in administrative roles. My involvement in the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center took a rather long and winding path, beginning when my wife Patty was co-president of the then Women's Crisis Center at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Newburyport. Of course, I was always interested in the work of the Crisis Center, but it never really directly affected me until in my principalship at the Cashman School, I had to sit up and take notice when one of my developmentally delayed third grade students was murdered by his father on Father's Day. At the same time, one of my parents, a young woman in my parent community, was in a rather toxic relationship, and she was murdered as well. And that's when I knew that it was time for me to become more actively involved. I was happy to be invited to join the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center in 2009, and served from 2009 to 2017. And in many ways, those were 8 of the most powerful, meaningful years of my life. And if there was ever a question of the importance of the work of the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center, it was clearly dispelled during my 8-year tenure working with the center. An initiative, as we know, that began in Canada, but hopefully to mobilize young men and boys to become more involved in the fight against domestic violence. To that end, we've been lucky in the local community and in Amesbury, as a former Amesbury educator, to really look to student voice to become actively involved in this initiative. I'm very proud of Amesbury's public school system, which has been actively involved with the youth empowerment services, whether it be through Girls Inc., healthy dating relationships, or the bystander education program at Amesbury High School. And it was only when I was personally touched by instances of domestic violence that I sat up and took notice and realized that, we live what we learn. And my parents brought us up to take an active involvement in life and to make a difference. And I believe the men on the White Ribbon Campaign Committee are of the same mindset. They realize how important it is to become actively involved and to make a difference. Each one of us, in our own way, has the ability to use our voice to make a difference and to make things better for men and women moving forward as we continue to combat domestic violence, particularly during these times of pandemic. It's probably more important than ever that we become actively involved. While it's critically important for all of us to become involved in supporting the Crisis Center, if possible by our words and by our actions, it's also critically important to consider financial contributions to the effort. This work doesn't just happen. We look to our community, there are many communities, local and far-reaching, to support this effort as best we can, with our words, with our actions, and with our finances. I know that my wife and I have made a commitment as a family that the Jeannie Geiger Crisis Center will always be an important organization that we choose to support with our finances. And I would encourage each one of you, as we continue this extraordinary work with Suzanne Debus as our illustrious leader, moving forward, consider digging deep and making a comfortable contribution to the effort so that this amazing work can continue as we together make a difference in the lives of young men and women, older men and women moving forward. I appreciate your consideration.